we just apply it to the paper. Very, very simple. I just want to get rid of the white because as soon as I have a surface that is like this in a middle value, what ends up happening is any mark that I put that I want to make light, you know, it looks light, but also every mark that I put down and I want to make it dark, that looks dark as well. So that's the reason why in classical painting you almost always look at a surface that's some kind of middle value brown. How far are things from the edge of the frame? So hat ends roughly here, ends roughly here, and then here it's about the third of the surface is where it ends over here. Now if I were to look at where the face ends, it's almost in the middle of the canvas, right? So I'm gonna mark that almost in the middle of the canvas. And then here, near this corner, we got the palette going around in a curve like that, meets the line of the head, meets this angle of the hat. Then here on this side, we have a kind of triangle, dot, dot, dot. Then here on this side, we have a kind of rectangle. I'm looking at this, the shape of the background, not the shape of the figure, because the shape of the background is easier to capture. There's like an angle followed by an angle, something like that, like this and like that. See, very simple lines, not dealing with any of the complications. And then here after the palette, we have some carpet, until there's some light moment over roughly in the slightly below the middle of the canvas right here. I don't even know what it is, but I'm just looking. If that's the center, it's a little bit lower than the center, and it goes like that. And then above it we have something that might be a window that goes all the way till the top, looks like this. And then there's distance between that and the hat of roughly this much distance, blocking out this shadow. What's the shape that the palette creates? It's a lower shape. I'm just looking at this as a geometric entity. How does it look if I were to cut it out with scissors? How would that shape look like? I just took a new brush, I'm dipping it in solvent, and I'm using it to erase and remove areas where my dark has gone too far. Let's refine this triangle. Try to squint at the reference and you'll see what it does. It simplifies everything into big relationships of light and shadow and helps you ignore all the unnecessary information. I'm trying to work my way from the biggest shapes and then gradually to some smaller and smaller shapes. So right now I have the big shapes, so I'm moving one step lower towards smaller shapes. Right now I want to create this distinction between the bottom of the hat and the top of the hat because the bottom of the hat is in shadow, right? And that's going to help me create that feeling of three-dimensionality. So I'm starting very, very simple and building gradually towards complex. I want you to look at life, look at something you want to draw, whether it's your family member or your friend, and say, wow, that shape of the shadow looks like a triangle. That's what we're looking for. We want to stop seeing things as narrative and start seeing them as things that can be expressed in paint, aka shapes, values, and all of that good stuff.
Okay.
Now let's see the shape of the shadow here. Let's make it darker than Soroya made it, just for the sake of clarity. Shape of the shadow.
And all of this is in umber?
Yep, all of it is just raw umber. Nothing fancy in here. Fancy stuff comes later. See what I'm doing? I'm squinting very hard and I'm asking myself, where are the darks? Where are the lights? And the figure is going to appear as a result of me creating the appropriate relationships between the shapes of the dark and the shapes of the light. See how the eraser can bring back things from when the real estate has been compromised? Like I put light where there should have been, I put dark where there should have been light, so you bring on the eraser, you take it away exactly like charcoal.
Okay.
See this?
And there you're using 3 different brushes?
2. Just the eraser and the application brush. Just 2. Closing in on our subject. And this is a very, very good way to start a painting. You know, once I have this roadmap and I let it dry, then I know where everything is. You know, I don't have to do all the pretty stuff now. They're going to be much easier to do later. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to make the hat bigger because I've actually compromised the shape of the hat as I was being sloppy. But this is natural because you can't really get it right immediately the first time. This medium of the underpainting is, as you can see, pretty chaotic because everything here is very saturated with solvent and therefore very much on the move. So you have to constantly look and pay attention to whether or not your shapes are getting out of control. And I'm chiseling away at this shadow, making sure that it's the right shape. See, push, push, push with the eraser, like a broom, mopping it into place. What happens is there's some value differentiation within the background. Let's see if we can tackle that. So here there's like maybe a wall or something that goes all the way here and to the back. And then over here it's very dark, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let me try to get that done. See how it goes? It's like everything is really, I'm just trying to catch it on a very like simple foundational level. Like where are the dark shapes, where are the light shapes, and this technique is flexible. And if something's wrong, that's okay, you move it. And that really doesn't happen so well with pencil. Pencil is so annoying to erase. Very slow. This is more like, pencil feels more like you're sculpting in marble. This feels like you're sculpting in clay. Everything's way more like movable. There we go. Get some of that light in there. Now that's the kind of stuff that you can only do if you have your imprimatura done. Otherwise, this doesn't work. Let's see if I can really nail that shape of what happens when that shadow meets the light. It happens higher. Everything was leaking down, but now I can counteract that phenomenon and really build this shape of the eye socket. Okay, now you see how I'm getting to smaller and smaller shapes. We started by really just looking at the huge shapes of the background, and now we're like fine-tuning the shape of the jaw. I'm going to add the light collar over here. Plays a very important role. A lot of painters really love that white collar trick, just kind of showing it for an instant, like this little moment of high contrast, and then it just disappears. Very, very common in classical paintings. You see, I'm not pressing hard for defining things that are elusive. I'm trying to paint them elusively. If something's hard to see, don't try to solve the riddle. Try to rephrase the riddle, you know? If it's painted in an elusive way, it's not up to us to suddenly make it clear. It's supposed to be elusive. And in general, all these questions that start with "do you always" are going to have are going to always have the answer no, because there's nothing that is always a good idea. Everything is circumstantial and depends on that particular painting and that particular situation, right? A painting that you are planning on doing in 3 hours definitely is not going to have the same process as a painting that you're planning on working on for a month or two. That's going to be a very, very different reality. So you see, it contains all the information for the location of things, but none of the detail. No area, if you look at it alone, you can say, oh, that's done. We've done everything we could. Nothing. You know, everything is being left for later, but it's being left for later at a state where I know where things are. That's what I care about. I know where they are so that later I can come in and get all the fun stuff done. But it depends on having a very high quality roadmap, and that's what we're trying to accomplish. A painter has to enjoy the time on the palette. And if, you know, mixing colors seems like a drag to you and you want to always be on the painting, you're better off drawing. You know, because when you're drawing in charcoal, you're on the painting all the time. You're on the drawing all the time. And that's okay. That's great for drawing. But a painter needs to enjoy time spent on the palette. There's no other way around it.
Thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. And if you enjoyed this video, please remember to like it, save it, and leave a comment. For longer videos and for live events, please consider supporting me on Patreon at patreon.com/Ken Goshen or by visiting the link in my bio and clicking Patreon. For lessons, please visit my website at kengoshen.com/lessons or by visiting the link in my bio and clicking Lessons. Thanks again, and see you next time.